The privilege is over. My mother said, starting today, your rent goes up 50% and half your paycheck goes to your sister. She has newborns. I agreed, already knowing she'd soon regret it. On Sunday, my grandparents came for lunch. But when my grandmother walked into the kitchen, she screamed so loudly that even the neighbors ran out of their houses. My name's Hunter. I'm 31. I'm the oldest kid, the responsible one. And because life has a sense of humor, I'm a human resources manager. I spend my days drawing boundaries for other people, writing policies, and untangling messes grown adults make at work. At home, I never had boundaries. At least, not ones that stuck. I rent the converted garage at my mother's house. I pay on time. I fix leaky faucets. I shovel snow at 6 a.m. before anyone wakes up. When the twins, my sister Maya's babies, were born, I set alarms to do 2 a.m. diaper runs. I kept receipts. I told myself I was just helping until things calmed down. They never did. Friday night, after a long week of layoffs that I didn't cause but still had to deliver, I came home to the kitchen smelling like onions and furniture polish. Mom stood by the sink, tapping a stack of envelopes against the counter like a judge with a gavel. Maya sat at the island, phone in one hand, bottle in the other. The twins squeaked in their bassinets. TV murmured in the living room. Everyone looked tired in that specific, sharp way that means an argument is about to happen. Mom didn't warm me up. The privilege is over, she said, turning on me like a spotlight. Starting today, your rent goes up 50% and half your paycheck goes to your sister. She has newborns. Maya didn't look up. She just added, you make HR money, Hunter. You can handle it. I opened my mouth, closed it. I heard my own voice in my head from HR training. Don't react. Ask clarifying questions. Brief. How much is half exactly? I asked. Half, Mom repeated. What part of that is confusing? I nodded. Walked to the sink. Rinsed my coffee mug because it gave my hands something to do. Okay, I said. Maya finally looked at me. Okay. Yeah, I said. Okay. Mom blinked. She wasn't ready for that. Usually there's debate, bargaining, guilt. Not tonight. I was too tired to argue. And honestly, I didn't need to fight to make a decision. I already had one. Sunday lunch, Mom said, recovering fast. Grandma and Grandpa are coming. Don't be late. And bring dessert. It's the least you can do. Sure, I said. I'll bring something good. I took my mug to the garage and sat on the edge of my bed. The quiet felt heavy. The garage smelled like detergent and cold concrete. I stared at the ceiling. Then I opened my laptop, pulled a blank document, and typed a title I've used 100 times at work. Boundaries and agreements. My heart slowed. Planning does that to me. It's the one thing that doesn't yell. I worked until I heard the neighbor's dog bark at the mail carrier. I printed. I labeled folders. I slid receipts into sleeves. I stuck neon tabs on every line I knew would be argued. On Sunday, my grandparents came for lunch. Mom loves a scene. She set the table with her good plates. Maya swayed a baby on each hip. I set a cheesecake down on the counter, next to the stack of documents in a plain black binder. Hi, honey, Grandma said, kissing the air near my cheek. She walked into the kitchen with her purse on her arm, pulled open the fridge door, and screamed. It wasn't a little gasp. It was a church bell scream. Loud enough that the neighbor across the street dropped his rake and looked up. Loud enough that the dog started barking. Loud enough that Maya jumped, the twins wailed, and Mom shouted. Mother! What? Grandma pointed into the fridge like it had bitten her. Her voice broke into staccato bits. What on earth have you done? The thing about being the responsible one is that people confuse it for the bottomless one. It started early. My dad left when I was 12. Mom became a queen out of necessity, then out of habit. I got a job at the grocery store at 16 and paid for my own sneakers because money's tight. Money was always tight. Except when Maya needed a new dress for prom or a new phone for safety. I went to a state school, worked 3 campus jobs, and still sent money home when the water heater died. There's a part of me that's proud of that. There's another part that never learned to say no without swallowing sand. In HR, we call it scope creep. At home, it was just Tuesday. When Maya got pregnant, I set up an automatic transfer for diapers and formula. Just during maternity, I told myself. Then I paid the hospital bill that was supposed to be covered. Then the car broke down. Then the twins arrived, and everything turned into a fog of casseroles, spit up, and people texting so happy for you. While I sorted bill reminders into piles by threat level. I make decent money. HR managers aren't doctors, but we're not broke. Still, math is math. My paycheck is a paycheck, not a donation box. Mom didn't see it that way. You live here, she'd say. You're not paying full market rent. You owe us. The converted garage was my deal. Except I bought the washer. I bought the dryer. I paid for the Wi-Fi. I replaced the fridge when the old one died last spring. Because you're so good with that online ordering, Hunter. I also paid the family phone plan. At first, it was practical. One bill, 3 lines. Then it was 4 lines. Then Maya's boyfriend, Devin, needed a temporary line to find work. He found a gaming server instead. Every time I drew a line, someone tripped over it with their hands out. Every time I said, I can't, Mom heard. Convince me harder. They had phrases, little knives wrapped in cotton. You know how hard it is for a mother. You're lucky you even have a job like that. You're single. You don't have real bills. It's just money. Family is family. It's wild how words can feel light and weigh a ton. The first tiny fracture happened 2 months ago when I found out Maya had borrowed my debit card from Mom's purse just for gas, then used it to pay for a boutique stroller. When I brought it up, she said, it's for the twins. When I asked Mom why my card was even in her purse, she said, you left it on the counter, and I didn't want it to get lost. Gaslighting with a side of logistics. I told myself to breathe. I told myself to choose battles. I told myself to be the bigger person until bigger felt like invisible. Then came Friday. Privilege over, rent up, half your paycheck. The way Mom said it, like a policy she'd stapled to the bulletin board of my life. And I said, okay, because I've learned that sometimes the best way to expose a bad rule is to write it down, sign it, and hold everyone to it. So I wrote. I printed every receipt from the last 2 years. Formula, diapers, the emergency pediatric visit, the new refrigerator purchased by me, delivered by me, installed by me, the washer and dryer, the router, the plumbers, the snowblower, the oil change for Mom's car, the 4 phones on the plan, the streaming services that keep the house sane. I put totals at the bottom in bold, like an invoice to my own family. Then I drafted a lease the way we draft policies at work. Dates, amounts, responsibilities. If rent was going up 50%, it would start next month. In exchange, I would no longer provide non-rent support unless requested in writing, with a clear purpose and timeline, and if approved, it would flow through a separate family account for the twins with 2 co-signers, me and Grandma. I added a clause even a teenager could understand. No more surprise charges on my card. Any unauthorized use will be treated as theft. Cold. Maybe. Clear? Yes. Saturday night. While Mom watched late-night talk shows and Maya scrolled, I did 3 practical things. I transferred the phone plan into their names effective Monday. Each adult would receive an email. Accept responsibility for your line, or it will deactivate. I scheduled the utility accounts I'd been covering, gas, electric, Wi-Fi, to transfer to Mom effective the same day. I put my notice in writing and kept confirmations. I labeled my property. The washer? Mine. The dryer? Mine. The new fridge? Mine. Stickers on the back with purchase dates and serial numbers like I was building an exhibit called Things Hunter Bought so people could pretend they were free. I didn't remove anything yet. I'm not cruel, but I prepared. Which brings us to Sunday lunch. Grandma walked into the kitchen first. She pulled open the fridge, expecting her usual pre-chopped fruit and labeled leftovers and the little tray I keep for her low-sugar snacks. Instead, she saw a fridge that was clean, cold, and almost empty except for the cheesecake, bottled water, and a bright orange sign on the middle shelf. Temporary. Fridge to be relocated on 1st of next month unless lease signed. H. Next to it, a clear folder taped inside with the purchase receipt, warranty, and serial number. Below that, a small plastic bin with printed labels. Household groceries, unfunded. Please plan accordingly. To Grandma, who thinks fridges rest like trees given by God, it looked like someone had put a price sticker on the sky. She screamed. The whole house reacted. Mom rushed in, hand on her chest. Mother, what is wrong? Grandma turned on me. Why is there a sign inside the refrigerator? I kept my voice even. Because I bought it. And unless we have an agreement, it goes with me when I move out. Maya blinked. You're moving out? What is this? Mom snapped, grabbing the folder. What are you trying to prove? I'm not trying to prove anything, I said. I'm documenting. Like you asked. Rent up 50%. Half my paycheck to Maya. I'm saying okay. And I'm clarifying what ends when that starts. You're being dramatic, Mom said. Maybe, I said. But if we're going to run the house like payroll, then we'll use payroll rules. Grandpa shuffled in, hearing the tail end. What rules? I lifted the black binder onto the counter. These. Boundaries and agreements. Mom hates paper when it's not her paper. She flipped through the binder like it was an insult. What is all this? Receipts, I said. 2 years. Everything I've covered. Totals are tabbed. Lease is in the front. Support policy for the twins is behind it. Maya rolled her eyes. Support policy? They're babies, Hunter. I know, I said. That's why the twins get their own account. I'll contribute to that. Not to the house. Not to Devon's vape subscription. Not to your DoorDash habit at 2 a.m. when there's food in the pantry. Baby needs? Yes. Everything else? No. You can't talk to your sister like that, Mom snapped. I'm talking like an adult, I said. Because I am one. Because you told me my privilege is over and half my paycheck goes to Maya. I'm accepting your terms with my terms. Grandpa slid his glasses down his nose and read the cover sheet. $14, 873.62? That's approximate, I said. I didn't include the snowblower or the lawn equipment because technically I could sell those if I move. Maya scoffed. You're counting diapers? Yes, I said. Because diapers count. Silence. The twins hiccuped in tandem. The neighbor's dog barked again, like punctuation. Mom jabbed the lease with her finger. You can't do a lease with your own mother. You can double my rent with your own son, I said. So we're doing a lease. Half your paycheck? Maya repeated, staring at the page like it might pay her if she stared long enough. You're really going to do that? If you sign this agreement, I said, 50% of my net pay goes into the twins' account. Grandma and I co-sign. You submit requests for expenses with receipts. No cash. No, I'll pay you back later. Formula? Yes. Pediatric copay? Yes. Boutique stroller number 2? No. Devon wandered in from the living room, shirt half on, hair sticking up. What's going on, man? Grown-up stuff, I said. Also, your line on the phone plan transfers tomorrow. Accept it, or it shuts off. He laughed. You can't do that. I already did, I said. Check your email. Mom's eye snapped up. You're cutting off the phones? I'm transferring responsibility, I said. Just like you're transferring responsibility for the utilities. Effective tomorrow at 9 a.m. The provider will call you, Mom. They'll need a card. Grandma held my gaze, searching my face like she was trying to read the part of me that still flinched at being called selfish. Hunter, she said carefully. Are you sure? Yes, I said. I'm sure. Over a refrigerator? Mom said. Voice climbing. Over a pattern, I said. Over being told half my pay is owed to you with no plan, no accountability, no end date. Over being treated like a walking debit card with feet. That's cruel, Mom whispered. What's cruel? I said, and my voice shook for the first time. Is you calling it generosity when I pay every bill and selfishness the first time I say I won't pay a bill without a receipt? Maya set a bottle down too hard. Milk sloshed up the side. So what? What? We sign your little HR papers, and you play God with our groceries. No, I said. You make a budget. We follow it. I contribute to the twins. And I move out on the 1st. Move out where? Mom demanded. An apartment, I said. Found it yesterday. Deposit paid. I'll take the things I bought. You'll have the house, the utilities in your name, and the rent you asked for, until I move. Then you'll have the rent from a new tenant if you want one. That's how houses work. You're abandoning us, Mom said. Your family. I'm stopping being your bank, I said. There's a difference. Everything got loud at once. Mom's voice. Maya's, are you hearing this? Devon's, bro, chill. The twins wail like an alarm no one could snooze. Grandpa saying my name in that careful way old men do when they're holding a thing that might break. And then Grandma, God bless her, lifted the binder, shut it, and cleared her throat. Enough, she said. Sign the papers or don't. But don't pretend he hasn't kept this house standing. It was the first time anyone had said it out loud. Mom blinked. She looked smaller suddenly, like the argument had been propping her up. She put the binder down. We're not signing anything today. Okay, I said. Then I'll eat my cheesecake and go pack. The practical pieces moved first. Monday morning, Devon's phone went dark at 10 a.m. His dude? Text never arrived. Maya called me from Mom's phone at 10:03. Hunter, my phone isn't working. Accept responsibility in the email, I said. It will turn back on. I don't have a card with enough limit. Mom does, I said. It's her house. Silence. Then, you're really doing this. I'm doing what you asked, I said. I'm paying half my paycheck to the babies, not to the void. At 10:30, the gas company called Mom to confirm transfer. At 10:45, the electric company called. At 11 o'clock, the cable company tried to upsell her. She texted me, "This is spiteful." I typed, "This is governance." At noon, I had my HR staff meeting. I trained a supervisor on progressive discipline and smiled at the irony. Boundaries for strangers are easy. Boundaries for people who changed your diapers are a different sport. At 3 p.m., Grandma called. I read the whole binder, she said. You wrote it like a lawyer. I wrote it like a tired person, I said. She sighed. Your grandfather says to tell you he's proud. He also wants his lawnmower back if you're taking yours. I laughed for the first time in days. By Wednesday, the house had shifted into a new rhythm. Less streaming. More silence. Maya texted me a list of baby needs like she was filing an expense report. Formula, a 2 brand. Rash cream. Size 2 diapers. Infant Tylenol, pediatrician approved. I moved $300 into the twins' account. I attached a note. Approved. Receipts required within 7 days. She sent back a photo of the Walgreens receipt. Like this. Yes, I wrote. Exactly like that. Grandpa drove me to see the apartment Thursday. 2 bedrooms. Clean. Quiet. A balcony big enough for a chair and a basil plant. I stood in the empty living room and felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. No noise in my head. You can decorate, Grandpa said, as if I'd forgotten that was allowed. Friday, the first new bill hit Mom's card. She sent me a photo of the electric statement circling the total in angry red. I wrote, budget meeting? She didn't reply. On Saturday, I labeled boxes in the garage. I took my washer and dryer manuals and carefully slid them into a file. I unscrewed the fridge water line and taped a paper towel over the valve. I left a handwritten note. Turn off supply here. Call me if you need help. H. There are clean ways to leave. I wanted mine to be clean. Sunday, they hosted lunch again. I didn't go. I met my friend Drew for pho and told him everything. He listened, didn't offer fixes, didn't tell me to forgive and forget. He just said, yeah, that sucks. And I'm proud of you. I didn't know how hungry I was for those words until I heard them. At 5 p.m., my phone lit up with the family group chat. MOM. Hunter has decided to move out without any warning, so dinners will be limited for a while. Everyone be patient with us. Maya. He's also taking the fridge. Aunt Liz, what? Maya. He bought it. He put a sticker on it like a psycho. Grandma. He labeled his property like a responsible adult. The group went quiet for 8 full minutes. Then Aunt Liz again. Does he have an extra binder? Asking for budgeting reasons. I laughed into my ramen. That evening, Mom called. I let it go to voicemail. She texted minutes later. This isn't how family behaves. I typed a reply and deleted it twice. Then I wrote, family behaves like family when everyone has a role, not just a wallet. She didn't answer. Packing got real on Monday. I wrapped the dryer hose with care. Devin hovered in the doorway like he wanted to say something. You know, he said, scratching the back of his neck. I didn't think you'd actually do it. Most people don't think I'll actually do things, I said. That's my fault. I taught them that. He nodded, looking weirdly human. Maya's scared. I know, I said. So am I. She says you're punishing her. I'm protecting myself, I said. And the twins. He shuffled his feet. I got a job. Warehouse. Night shift. Starting next week. That's good, I said, meaning it. Tell me your schedule. I can take a night feed if you need sleep before shift. He blinked. You do that. I'm not punishing babies, I said. I'm teaching grown-ups. That night, Grandma called again. Your mother's angry, she said. But she's also cooking for the first time in months because she doesn't want to spend on takeout. I call that progress. Me too, I said, smiling into the dark. On move-out day, Grandpa and Drew helped me load the truck. The fridge went last. The house felt stunned with it gone, like a smile missing a tooth. I wiped the stainless steel, taped the shelves, and checked the floor for scratches. Mom stood in the doorway with her arms folded. She looked, not angry, just tired. I handed her a copy of the lease and the twins' account info again. The offer stands, I said. Half my paycheck, but through the account. You're cold, she said. I used to think saying no was cold, I said. Now I think it's honest. She looked at the twins asleep on the couch. We're supposed to take care of each other. We are, I said. That's why I'm doing this. So I can actually take care of myself and the babies without drowning. You think I wanted any of this? She asked. I shrugged a little. I think you wanted an easier life. I get that. But you tried to build it on me. She looked away. You sound like a therapist. I sound like HR, I said, and she snorted, almost smiling despite herself. I left the house quiet. No slammed doors. No speeches. Just a truck and a list in my pocket of simple things I wanted in the new place. Dish rack. Lamp. Basil plant. Silence. The first night in the apartment, I sat on the floor and ate cold pizza off a moving box. I expected loneliness to crash over me. Instead, the quiet was a soft animal sitting beside me, breathing slow. 2 days later, the twins' account pinged. Maya, pediatric appointment tomorrow. Copay $30. Attaching receipt. Me, approved. Transferred. Maya, thanks. Me, how are the babies? Maya, tired. Hungry. Loud. Me, sounds like us. She sent a photo. Two red-faced peanuts asleep on each other. My chest went warm in a place I'd kept cold on purpose. I saved the picture. I watered the basil. I slept through the night, without waking for every creak of the garage door. By the end of the month, the house had a budget. Grandma helped. She loves a list. They canceled 3 subscriptions. Mom cooked more. Devin kept the warehouse job and hated it, which is exactly how most jobs start. Maya started a simple spreadsheet she was weirdly proud of. She texted me budget wins like other people text Wordle scores. I still got the occasional knife and cotton. You make more. You could do more. You moved out like you're better than us. Your grandmother can't carry groceries like before. Sometimes I answered. Sometimes I didn't. I learned there's a difference between cruelty and a boundary that makes people uncomfortable. People call both mean from the outside. On a Sunday 2 months later, Grandma called to ask if I was coming to lunch. I said yes. I brought dessert again. Same cheesecake. The kitchen felt different. Fewer delivery bags. More meal prep containers. The new fridge hummed. A basic model Mom got on sale. She patted it once like it was a good dog. When Grandma walked in, she opened the door and laughed, not screamed. No signs today. No signs, I said. Good, she said, then squeezed my hand. We don't need them anymore. I still keep the binder on a shelf by my desk. Not because I want to wave it at people, but because it reminds me of a line I wrote in the first hour I was angry enough to think clearly. Clear is kind. Vague is cruel. I used to think kindness was fixing everything in the dark and letting people believe it fixed itself. It felt noble. It also felt like drowning with a smile, so no one would get wet. The truth is simpler and harder. If I want to be generous, I have to have something left to give. I don't have grand speeches to end with. Life didn't turn into a montage where everyone learned their lesson and clapped. Some days, Mom still sends me a guilt text. Some days, I ignore it. Some days, I answer, love you. Not discussing money by text. Most days, we talk about the twins, the weather, a recipe she tried that didn't burn. Maya and I are better. Not perfect, not magically equal, just better. She sends receipts. I transfer money to the twins' account twice a month. She texts me pictures from the pediatric waiting room and little victories. Only 2 blowouts today. They smiled. Maybe at me. Maybe at the light. Devin is still at the warehouse. He's cranky about it. He also pays his phone bill now. Sometimes growth looks like a man complaining about adulting while adulting. Grandpa brings me leftover soup in old yogurt containers. Grandma labels my spice jars because she thinks order is love. She's not wrong. I hung a small frame in my living room. A photo of me on the balcony with the basil plant. The caption I wrote under it is just for me. You are not a bank. You are a person. Last Sunday, after lunch, I stayed to wash dishes. Mom stood next to me. Both of us in that easy rhythm you get with someone you've known your whole life. She handed me a plate to dry. You were right, she said suddenly, not looking at me. About the money. About a lot. I didn't do the dramatic pause. I didn't soak in it or make it a moment. I just said, thanks, and meant it. She nodded. I still don't like your tone. I'm working on it, I said, almost smiling. Grandma yelled from the living room. You two stop flirting and bring dessert. Everyone laughed. Even the twins squeaked like they were in on the joke. On the way out, a neighbor waved. Hey, Hunter, house looks calmer. Thanks, I said. So do I. When I got home, I opened the binder one more time, not to count costs, but to add a simple page at the end. It's the only page that matters now. New policy. I don't fund chaos. I will help children, not enable adults. I don't argue about boundaries. If it needs a receipt, it needs a plan. I live for me, not for anyone's approval. I slid it into the sleeve, closed the cover, and placed it back on the shelf. I used to imagine a version of this story where I exploded at the table and flipped a plate just to prove I was serious. It's funny. The loudest I ever got was a sign in a refrigerator and a sentence under a basil plant. I won't be your ATM. That's the moral. It's not revenge. It's oxygen. And it turns out, oxygen is a privilege too, but this one, finally, is mine.